in the house already. Daddy-O's having a little to drink. I guess you're an hour ahead. Doesn't matter, it's 5 o'clock no matter where we're at, right? It's 5 o'clock here all the time. So I thought I'd go live. Haven't done that so much this week. I've been live on other people's shows. I'm down with OPP, other people's programs. Hopped on Litecoin Lisa's show a couple of days this week, filling in. I guess I'm the pinch hitter. But hopefully Satoshi Sean's back soon on Tuesdays. Johnny Litecoin couldn't make it yesterday, so I went on that, and then I went on Blind Dave's channel, Let's Hash It Out, after that. So it's a double header, I guess. No, pretty cool. Today is, of course, Friday. That means it's time for happy hour in not too long from now. About an hour and a half. Man, comes quick. So check that out on Litecoin Lisa's channel, 4 p.m. Central Time. I apologize, it's really windy. Why should I apologize? Maybe it's Poseidon's fault. Isn't he the god of winds and all that stuff? And I don't know. It's somebody's fault, right? Now, I love the wind. Breath of God upon you. So it's a nice day here. It's a little humid. We had a little bit of rain. I had a hard time this week getting the yards mowed. I finally got them done. Got the yard across the street mowed. Happy birthday to Mitch yesterday. There's your gift. I mowed your lawn, brother. So, yeah. Give him a big shout out. Cust Carpentry on Twitter. Mitch has his own channel. Mitchie's Motivational Monday. Go check that out. If you need links to anybody I talk about, any of their programs, any of their shows, their channels, you can find that on clintwestwood.net. Go under community resources and you will find links to all the people I talk about. Man, it's really windy. I'll be in the bar though for happy hour. Won't be any wind other than my hot air. Let's take a look at Zero Hedge. That's the thing to look at. Some interesting things coming out. A lot of truth coming out. The former police chief, Capitol Police Chief, you know, Capitol building in Washington, D.C., Steven Sund, gave an interview with Tucker Carlson. Definitely worth the watch. Apparently there was an interview with him and Tucker while Tucker was still on Fox, but Fox canned it. Didn't want this stuff coming out because I think there's a narrative. You have to continue that narrative of anything to stop Trump. They do not want him to run. He's running really high in the polls. Looks like he'll probably win. And so the best thing you can do is indict the guy and hopefully put him in prison. Although I don't know that matters. If you're in prison and you win the presidency, can't you immediately pardon yourself? Or, you know, I can see it. He's in the orange jumpsuit going to the Capitol and getting sworn in, or maybe gets sworn in the prison cell. I don't know. Becomes president, says I pardon myself, and walks out. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Speaking of stranger things, the bag of white powder in the White House, apparently President Biden has been told who it is, who left it. It was in his, quote, inner circle of people and friends, family and friends. Someone left it there. Wonder who might that be. So Hunter Biden, there's a special prosecutor. You know, well, let's get back to the Capitol Police Chief. He wanted more security, and that was called off. Didn't get the forces that he wanted in place there. So it's starting to look like this might have been a setup. This whole thing was staged to create an event, to make something happen. And look, they're using that as fuel against the president, former President Trump. If that narrative breaks, how can you say that he incited a riot when the stage was set for the riot? You know, they had it all cooked up, ready to go, and just turn up the heat a little bit, and boom, there you've got your casserole of corruption getting made. So go watch that. That's actually a really good, really insightful. A lot of good information. Tucker Carlson's putting out a lot of good information with some good interviews. Not sure about the Tate thing. Not sure what to think about that guy. But anyway, hey, you know what? Put it out there. Joe Rogan talking about having Trump on. I think that's a Cliff High data point, that Trump will be on Joe Rogan at some point. He saw that happening in his data. So that could be coming soon. That's a good platform to get out truth. A lot of people listen to it. Hunter Biden, of course, it says this Weiss guy. This is the interesting thing to me. I'm not sure what to really make of it. Merrick Garland, the Attorney General, appointed U.S. Attorney David Weiss as a special counsel in the ongoing probe of Hunter Biden. Now, I think he was the prosecutor that was part of the deal that Hunter was going to get, that the judge threw out, you know, giving Hunter immunity going forward, but that got thrown out. And so as a prosecutor, you kind of agreed to that deal, and is my understanding. So this David Weiss was the guy that was prosecuting him and said, okay, yeah, we'll do this plea deal, which basically gave Hunter immunity going forward. And as I said, the judge threw it out. So, I mean, I know the guy apparently was appointed by Trump, this David Weiss, but does that matter? Or is it all part of the show? Hard to say. But I think we're going to see some revelations, some truth coming out, and we're seeing it leak out right now. I think that's a good thing. Good thing for people to see, to understand why these things happen. Nothing happens by coincidence or accident in politics. Always an agenda. Hey, we need to get into World War II. Let's see if we can fiddle with the resources so the Japanese get really ticked off and incite them to come over and bomb Pearl Harbor. That'll get the American people into the war, because they didn't want to go into the war in World War II. But after that happened, yep, declare war. Always a motive, always an agenda, usually to foment chaos and war, to basically cover up all the things that they're doing. You know, it's good cover when you've got war. You can rally the troops, wave the flag, you know, appeal to people's patriotism, and it's just not the full story usually. We got RFK Jr. renews demand for Secret Service protection after the assassination of the Ecuadorian candidate who was apparently shot at a public event, shot in the head and assassinated. So Robert Kennedy, who's running for president for the Democratic ticket, he's saying again, hey, I think I might need a little protection. My uncle got shot in the head when he was president, and my dad, who was running for president and was going to get the nomination for the Democrats, got shot too. So, you know, maybe I should get a little protection. If anybody needs it, it's me. But that's been denied, and we'll see how that goes. He's just dropping a lot of good information too. So watch these people. They don't have to do these things, and they're coming out and putting themselves on the line. You might want to pay attention to what they're talking about. I like, you know, I'm a little ambivalent sometimes on Rand Paul, but the quote he has here is, "No clearer case of perjury in the history of government testimony than Fauci." You remember Fauci and Rand Paul went back and forth on this gain of function thing. Obviously, that's what was going on. Actually, you know, because we've got all these biolabs all over the place, I should say the dark government, you know, that it's not the government. They've got all these biolabs all over the place. In Ukraine, it's been alleged that a lot of the nasty weapons, biological weapons, were being formed and created in these biological labs there in Ukraine. Part of this might be a cover-up for that. That's some of the theory. You've also just recently in California, there is a biolab there that received government funding. In California, not just in foreign countries. So I think the overall agenda is, you know, you see it all the time, this population reduction, population control. If they can create some sort of bioweapon that targets specific races, specific groups, specific, really specific groups of people who might be a threat to the established order, you wonder what's really going on. After all, they can create all the money they want to fund these things. So let's start getting this out into the open. But yeah, Fauci might be on the rocks. I'm gonna have something on the rocks here at Happy Hour, I know that. Paul noted, the smoking gun is Fauci in private saying the opposite of what he was saying in public when he was publicly telling me that absolutely we do not fund gain of function research in China. Okay, there you go. And then he says we have the acting director, Lawrence Tabak of the NIH, admitting in writing that it came from the NIH. The funding came from the NIH. National Institute. You got a lot of people that we knew were corrupt. The problem is, with fear, they scared a lot of people into doing things that they really didn't want to do, and now they come out just like I knew they would, and a lot of people knew. We never forced you to take this. We never made you take these, you know, these experimental drugs in the arm. But, you know, they're threatening businesses. They use police officers to come in and pull people out of restaurants. They didn't let you go visit your parents in nursing homes, grandparents. And then if they died at the funeral and you can't even go to the funeral, I mean, talk about just an abuse of humanity, what we saw. And now they're backpedaling, saying that, oh, no, we never said you couldn't do certain things. You didn't have to take it. You know, it was just, you know, we're just acting on behalf of humanity and the people. You know, we just want everybody to be safe. They knew darn well exactly what they were doing. They had it ready to go. They had the patents for these things. These companies made a lot of money, these pharmaceutical companies. And the government funded it. Basically allowed it to happen. And don't tell me, because we all lived through it, don't tell any of us that it wasn't forced, because it was definitely coerced. Now, you could have said no, but there would have been consequences. People got fired for saying no. Now they have to take it to court and prove their case and say, hey, listen, this is BS. And then, you know, it gets in a court, and then the decisions have been coming down that, yeah, you kind of were wrong. They shouldn't have fired you. It was your right not to take it, because you don't have to put anything in your body you don't want to put in your body. The thing is, you have to go through that turmoil. You have to go through all that hardship. And it takes a strong person to do that under pressure, you know, providing for their family, wanting to keep their family safe. And they just manipulated people is all they did. They manipulated the human emotions that we have. And they know what they're doing because they're mad scientists, and they're vampires is what they are, really. But they're just, they don't care about humanity. They care about power. They care about control. They want to lock everybody up, lock everybody down. They want to give you that, lock you into that that system, that social credit score system, to where you have to follow orders, and if you don't, you get knocked. You get points taken away, and then you can't go spend the money that they want to put upon you. You know, in the symbol of that is the CBDC, the central bank digital currency, to where once they can control the money at a level to where every transaction you make, that's what you have to use, is this CBDC, this digital form of money. They want to be able to program you out of existence. If that's what you're paid in, if that's the only thing that you can use and you're locked in that system, well, they can do whatever they want to you. Look at the instances of where the debit cards don't work at the first of the month, you know, or whenever it comes out, you know, for the welfare checks and the food stamp program, that kind of thing. People are ready to get their food. They're there in Walmart with carts, ready to go, waiting till midnight when the card gets loaded up, and you know, they want to, and there's instances of this to where the cards didn't work and people just leave their stuff. They're all ticked off. It's like, I can't even get my food, you know. Imagine if everybody's dependent upon that system, to where all your money derives from the government allowing you to have it, and they control it. Well, what if they just click of a mouse, flip of a switch, they just turn it off? Or they say, well, you know, you can't have steak today, or you're not going to be able to buy this type of food or that type of food. That's what they can do. Total, complete control over your life. Soul-sucking power. That's what it is. And that's the road that they want to take you down. They want to take you down total enslavement. This pandemic was part of that, to see how far they could push, how far they could get people to obey and comply. And I don't think it worked out like they thought. There's a lot of people that said no. And the whole thing's unraveling now. So they've lied to us once again, through the guise of fear or some invisible enemy, like they always do. They want to put some dangerous, you know, thing on it that, oh my gosh, this is going to kill everybody. You need to do, you know, we've got no better solution. Go out and get this. And then now you find out that people are getting sick. People are dying. People are having heart issues. People are having all kinds of problems having taken this thing. I mean, you don't see a spike in, you know, guys who are 30 to 50 years old or even younger. I mean, you're seeing young men that are having heart problems, myocarditis. No, what young kid gets this? But, you know, it's probably because they're showering in hot water, you know, it's water, drinking too much coffee, you know, and it's, we've done this forever, you know, but now it's all of a sudden, you know, it's causing all these problems. Happens to be coincident or coincident with the implementation of these experimental drugs that you stuck in your arm. So unfortunately, people tried to do the right thing. They didn't trust themselves. they might have gotten these things, and it's a shame. It really is. All we can do is hope for the best that they can heal themselves from it, but more importantly, learn that these people don't have your best interest in mind. You know, your rights are your rights, and it doesn't matter if there's a war, if there's a pandemic, if there, you know, whatever it is, your rights are enunciated for a reason. They're there for a reason. And those are the times when you need to exert those rights and use those rights. And nobody can stop you from doing that. You can't let them. But they're going to try and deceive you into doing that. That's just how things are. So hopefully we've learned from that, and going forward we'll realize that, hey, we got to trust ourselves and we got to do the right thing for us. You know what? Trust my gut, not have regret, because I think there's a lot of regret out there right now, and that's a shame. I'm going to talk a little bit about the thing in Hawaii. I mean, that's tough. I mean, I'm looking at all the footage of that on Maui and Lahaina specifically. A lot of culture there, a lot of just a beautiful place. I'd never been to that island. On our honeymoon, we went to Kauai. That's kind of the oldest island, you know, that people live on, and it's a beautiful island. And it had been hit by a hurricane, Iniki, I think it was, in the early 90s, and really devastated that place. And, you know, at the time, it was 2003, and a lot of the rebuilding had been done, you know, for the 10 years after that, when we were there in 2003. And people would tell stories. I remember one lady in a shop telling a story about it, and it was just devastating. They didn't know what they were going to do, but they did rebuild, and they innovated their way out of it in a lot of ways. And that's why if you go to Hawaii and you buy a red dirt shirt, I mean, it's just like a stained red shirt. It's like a red, you know, it's like the red clay that you see when you go to Oklahoma. Well, they have some of that red dirt out in Hawaii too. And I don't know, it's a lot of iron in it. I'm not sure what it is that makes it red like that. But what they did to kind of pull themselves up, a lot of them, is they started making this red dirt shirt. So they would take the dirt from Hawaii, wash these shirts in it, you know, and turn it this red color, and started a company. It's called Red Dirt Shirts, and that was a way to bail themselves out of this whole mess that they had out there, because the economy really took a hit. And that was one thing that everybody, you know, it's like, oh, that's cool. I want to wear a piece of Hawaii with me. So people will recover. It's just so devastating to watch what had happened there. And it's, you know, a lot of it's being blamed on climate change. You know, oh my gosh, you know, it's the dry weather, the wet weather, the windy weather, whatever it is, everything's climate change. And so that's the narrative always, that, oh my gosh, look what climate change did to Hawaii. And I mean, you look at some of those pictures and you see trees that aren't burned down, but you see cars melted from the fire. You see houses just like pulverized. I mean, it's just like turned to dust, like white dust. It looks like 9/11 when the buildings came down. You know, you've got all that white powder all over the place. And I get it, you know, when things burn, it looks, you know, it has that look to it. But man, my gut feeling tells me it's something more. And what's the reason for that? I don't know. But again, just like you've got fires up in Canada that are maybe not at the right time of the year. People are a little bit baffled by that. You know, what's causing these things? Is it just a cover for climate change, you know, to create that narrative and bolster that narrative? I mean, are these intentionally being done, these events? I mean, oh my gosh, you know, this guy's, you know, crazy, you know, he's talking about all this stuff. But you got to realize, I mean, they're talking about weather control in, you know, decades and decades ago, how they're going to be able to control the weather with technology. We're at a point right now, what technology do they really have that we don't know about? I've seen pictures of the Hawaii thing, you know, with this like laser beam coming down and hitting the ground and, you know, creating this explosion like a directed energy weapon or something. I don't know if there's any truth to that. I don't, you know, it's hard to validate any of that, but it wouldn't surprise me. It really wouldn't, that things like that don't happen, or that things like that do happen. It's just a terrible thing. I mean, just to see what's happened there, and all that beauty and that history just destroyed in a matter of a day, a night, and just bad, devastating. So I mean, really, just keep those people in your prayers. I mean, really, that's the main thing. Give them good thoughts, and you know, so that they have hope that they can move on and go forward. It's a terrible situation being isolated on an island. and there's nowhere to go. You have no communication. You've got, no stores, nothing, no source of food. They're already, they have so much stuff that they have to get brought in because they can't produce certain things like toilet paper. I mean, simple things, they don't do there on the island, and they have to be brought in. And now, without communication, without anything being there, it was all destroyed. The food, the restaurants, the stores, drugstores. I mean, if you need insulin or something, how are you going to get it? It's just the devastating effects that has. And it's just, keep those people in your thoughts. Send good energy out there, and just pray for them so that they can recover from this thing. It's a horrible thing to have to go through. I can't imagine. I actually at one point had a job offer in Hawaii to teach, and I was like that close to getting on the plane and going, with my young family. And I just, for whatever reason, at the last second, I already had it locked up. At the last second, I said, not going to do it. And I don't know why. I just decided not to. It would have been on the Big Island, though, the job there. But it's just, I don't know. It's a tough thing. So anyway, moving on from that, let me check the chat. I just wanted to hop on here for a little bit and just say hi. And, reach out to everybody and see what's going on. Preparing for happy hour. Not quite prepared because I haven't cracked open a drink. I know some of you have. Just say hi. There we go. There's Westwood in the background. Let me hop into the chat here and take a look and see what we got going on here. All right, Daddy O mentioned him. Warrior, good to see you, man. Paulie P on the road. Babs, what is going on? Yeah, it is windy. Very windy here. I'm not sure if it's picking it up on the microphone, if it's a problem. Chris Card in the house, Silver Gem in the house. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, well, that's another thing. Yeah, good comment, Daddy-O. Well, I saw several numbers here as far as, how many more billions need to go to Ukraine. And it's just, I mean, can't we all see through this illusion now that really, we're not going to fix anything? I mean, we've sent billions and billions and billions. I saw a number like 32 more billion Biden wants to send. I saw other numbers. I don't know what the accurate number is. Doesn't matter. Why are we sending anything at this point? I mean, isn't that isn't that over? Isn't that narrative over? I mean, Zelensky just today fired a bunch of generals in his military. You got the Senate. They don't want to pass any kind of an investigative authority, an oversight authority. They don't want to pass that to see how the money's been spent in Ukraine. Why? Why don't they want to do that? Well, I think we all know the reason why is because it's nothing but corruption. It's a bunch of grift, a bunch of sweetheart deals. You see all the things coming out with Biden and his son Hunter. 20 million that they know of. Oh my gosh, $20 million from Russians and all kinds of different foreign countries. I mean, you've got a compromised White House right now. I mean, you've got a crime family in charge. That's essentially all you've got. At what point do we say enough is enough? That's what needs to happen. And I think we're getting close. I think we are. St. Jerome in the house. Cool, man. Yeah, he took a little trip. He's been off a little bit. I think school starts. He'll be back in the classroom here soon, St. Jerome. So, no, I look forward to seeing some of your insights and how have the children changed over the summer. What are you getting into again in the fall? What's happened? I'm encouraged, with all the surveillance tools that we have, all these phones, everything, the thing I'm talking on right now is a surveillance tool, all the devices that kids have access to now, complete surveillance tools. But on the other end of it, I mean, my 9-year-old daughter, I've got her in the habit of, hey, asks me a question. I said, well, let's look it up. And she says, okay, I'll search it up. It's funny because Lisa said Cannon says that too, her son. Search it up. So that's the new term, I think, in their lingo, in their language. Search it up. It's a lot better than Google it. Why give energy to that? But yeah, go search it up. Do it on a better search engine than Google. But they have access to all the information and can look up information. And information, it can be negative, can be positive, can be good, bad, whatever it is, but I would rather live in a world where we have open, free access to information. And you can make the argument that we don't, but at least we have, I look back at the time when I'm going to college, for instance. I had to write a paper. What do I have to do? I got to go check out books. Okay, the library doesn't have them. Interlibrary loan, get this book, because I'm doing a research paper, and you don't have access to all the information, so it's hard to have a great awakening moment to where humanity is like, okay, I get it. Well, now we're at that point where we have the information out there and we can access it, and it's a matter of using discernment and kind of putting the trash out and filtering through it. And that's why I always say you got to trust yourself, because there's so much out there that how do you what do you believe? And the truth resonates. It will come through. And now that you've got more access to information, you can find that truth. Whereas in the past, it was hard. It was very difficult. There would be seminal voices out there. Hey, this guy's talking about this topic. Okay, how do I get information from him? You couldn't just search it up. You couldn't go out on the internet. I'm in college in the early 90s, and it's like you didn't have those tools. You couldn't do it. Well, you got to go look on some microfiche, to find the old newspapers. I mean, just what a difference, that I've seen in my, short life at this point, and watching my daughters grow up and what they're exposed to and what they have, the availability of information that's out there now, to where they can learn so much more at a younger age than I could have, because I couldn't find the information, and now that it's there, it's a great thing. It's a great tool to use, and that's what they wanted to enslave us with, the technology, but the technology is awakening us, and so we can choose that path to be enslaved, to be mind numbed, and just pay attention. Oh, look at that TikTok. But there is truth on TikTok too. A lot of people leaking it out that way because it is in a different format that people get. And, wow, soundbite. Oh, yeah, okay, I get it. But there's a lot of garbage out there too that's just pure entertainment. And people are going to seek out what they want to seek out. And I'm just glad that the people who are seeking now have tools to find that information. And that's how we awaken. That's how we can all that's how we advance. And so, you're either going along for the ride and advancement, or you're just going to live in the shadows and, be dumbed down. But that's purposeful, and you have a choice now to be dumbed down. You can see through their illusions now, and that's what we're seeing. We're seeing all the illusions, all of the garbage, all of the lies that they used to be able to cover up. They really can't cover it up anymore. It's going to come out. Sometimes you think it's not soon enough, but it is coming out, and that's the key. So have faith. Have faith that we will rebuild. We will elevate. We will ascend. I mean, and just like what you see in Hawaii, they will come back, because the spirit can't be stopped, and it's just up to us to make sure that fire still burns, and we just keep moving forward and keep getting brighter, and other people will see that fire in the darkness, and then that's going to inspire them. So we have to keep doing what we're doing, be that the single match light that becomes that giant flame, that bonfire, that everybody can see. And it's just, that's the important thing. Never lose hope, never lose faith, never lose confidence. Always trust yourself, always believe that, just believe in yourself, and know that you're doing the right thing, and always search for truth. And when you find the truth, you might change your opinion, but that's the thing, we got to find the truth. Paulie P's got a comment. Pre-1915 and 50 encyclopedias challenge what is said today on a lot of subjects that you search via the internet. Yeah, if you don't have those old books that might have a different perspective on life, if you don't have a library and you can go and look at all these old books, the new books that come out that are, for retail on the shelf, you may not know. They're giving you a different narrative, but then you go look at these older books and it's a whole different perspective that they tried to drum out of the schools. And you can go back and say, wait a minute, that doesn't jive with what we're being taught now. That information there is not the information I'm getting now. And now, so much of that is available online to where you can go look at those old books online. You don't have to go to an old, a dusty old library or bookstore, and try and find these things. And I think that's a great thing. I mean, it really is. More knowledge, better. More information, better. And then we can choose to be who we want to be at that point, instead of listening to other people tell us how we're supposed to be. And that institutionalized leaders, the people of authority that have told us. I mean, all they've done is lead us astray. They've put us down the wrong path. And you look at the people in charge, the authority figures now, all the narratives of all the institutions have done nothing but serve their interest and not the interest of humanity. And so now that we are decentralizing in a lot of ways and have the tools at our disposal, we can make the decisions on our own. And what I like is organically, like I see in the people I've come to meet, we've organically learned this stuff on our own, and we found each other because it's like, yeah, we all kind of resonate at that same frequency. We're all looking for that same truth. And, we might not be exactly the same and have the exact same ideas, but we're drawn together because of that quest for knowledge and that reawakening of humanity. And it's an encouraging thing because it is happening at a grassroots level, and we are decentralizing, but in that process we're still coming together. But we're not centralizing together, we're decentralized and we're coming together and sharing our knowledge and experiences. And I think that's a great way to be. It is. So anyway, those are a few thoughts on Friday. Thanks for hopping in here. I appreciate it. I really do. I love all you guys and gals. Love the gals especially. But today I'll be with one amazing gal on happy hour at 4 p.m. Central Time, having a cocktail or 3 and smoking a cigar or more. And it'll be a good time. Like to see everybody there, and hop in the chat and put your comments out there, and we'll see where it goes. All right. Trust yourself. Don't trust vampires. Sick of the vampires. We had enough of them. Done. Turn the lights on. Let them all go away. We are the light. All right. Love you all. Hope you have a wonderful Friday. Hope to see you on happy hour.